Well, it's one of those times, folks, where if you want snow, you got to go south. This is the outside of the front of my house as we had a snow squall go through here a little while ago. And actually, if you look, you can still see that there are a few flurries flying. Everything is nice and white and beautiful. And I am in a good mood. And it's all because of the fact that the core of this cold air mass is down in the deep south, where we're seeing some snow in the mountains and a deep freeze for tonight. There's snow going on still in the central Appalachians, as well as in the lake effect areas of western New York. And we will cover it all tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. And you, of course, can support the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast very simply by shopping on Amazon using our referral link, and that's on the descriptor to this podcast on YouTube. Just use the link to get you to Amazon, do your shopping. Amazon throws us some coin for sending you there, and it doesn't cost you 1 cent out of your own pocket. So we appreciate very much those of you who support the podcast by shopping on our referral link on Amazon. And if you need a weather station, Tempest by WeatherFlow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system. Join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. Easy to install, runs on solar power, and you can run it right off your mobile device, or even get a display if you want to hang it up on your wall. The link for this is pinned to the top of the chat board and on the description to this podcast. And there's a coupon code, Joe Rayo.
I'm well aware of that, Joe Chiaffi, and in fact, Rich Rothmansky, Faithful Rich, who is always on our chat board, has already posted the pass code, and that is autumn 2025. If you use that, you can get as much as 10% off anything from Tempest. Very, very good deal, in my opinion.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I am just so excited. I was looking at, I was just kind of puttering around the kitchen because I got my microwave installed today, so that made me even more excited. And I look to the side, I look out the front window, I see these big flakes coming down. I open the door, everything was white. And then I saw one of my friends who runs, I'm trying to think of what the Green Acres comparison would be, but he runs, it's not like a general store, but it's more like a garden supply store, and it's called General Supply, family run.
Right.
It's been here forever, and he posted a video from the store, which is maybe about, I don't know, 7 miles from my house, which is practically down the block, and it was white out. It was S-plusing there, just absolute whiteout. So here we are. I did not get out
So
of
you're telling me you couldn't get to Sam Trucker's today?
No, I couldn't get to Sam Trucker's. I did not get during the daytime. I don't know what the temperature was during the overnight hours when it went below freezing, but it did not get out of the 20s today here. I mean, it's November the 10th, and this is still a time of year where it could easily go to 70. It did not get out of the 20s, and right now it is 24 here at my house, probably heading down for a low of about 19 or 18 or so. So I'm just so excited about this. It's great.
Well, we have a temperature right now of about 36 degrees, and when we bottom out tomorrow morning here in Putnam Valley, we may get down as low as 27. I know that doesn't match anything that what you've been going through over the last 24 hours, but it's about the coldest weather we have seen up here so far.
Yeah, and it's I'm almost speechless. I just I knew I'd probably see some snow flurries or anything, and actually we got a little bit overnight when I went to take the dog out this morning. Uh, when you get like a little crusty snow in the cracks on the sidewalk, that's sort of how it was. And you can see a little bit on your car tops. And then during the day today, we've had some occasional, little bursts of flurries that have gone by, but nothing crazy. So I really was pleasantly surprised to see that I have probably 1/10 of an inch.
It's amazing. You've seen more winter weather than we have, it seems. Oh, ever since you moved down there, and in terms of summer, I mean, we've had far more hot days
Oh,
than
your higher
what you've
summers are
had.
far worse than mine. Far worse.
Oh yeah, oh
Far
yeah,
worse. Uh, no question. No question. I've had fewer 90-degree days than you have had. Uh, cooler nights. So yeah, you got me beat when it comes to summer weather. Anyhow, the core of this cold air is going to be overhead tonight and tomorrow. Veterans Day tomorrow. Probably you're going to have a tough time, I would think, getting much above the low 40s in most places across eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England. And then a little bounce up. I kind of just went generally upper 40s and low 50s for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. You're still going to be in this northwest flow. There's little ripples that are moving along that are just sort of slightly reinforcing the colder air, but the coldest air is going to be tonight and Tuesday.
absolutely. And for Veterans Day in the Lower Hudson Valley, I'm going for highs of 37 to 43, going from north to south. And we're going to see westerly winds tomorrow, at times gusting to 40 miles an hour. 10 to 20 mile per hour sustained winds. That'd be good for afternoon wind chills in the upper 20s and lower 30s. And of course, if you're walking into that wind and the winds gust to over 40, it's going to feel even colder than that. So, but it's going to be a dry day, sunshine giving way to clouds. Maybe not completely dry. I mentioned because of the instability factor that there could be even here up here. Joe's already had his snow, but here we may see some snow as well. A passing snow shower or two, or maybe a flurry, particularly since that wind is going to be gusting to over 40 at times. Who knows? Maybe some of those lake effect snows from up north will be driven south by that gusty, strong wind. And I agree with you, Joe. Whereas tomorrow it'll be in the upper 30s and lower 40s. On Wednesday, I think we'll probably be in the mid 40s, maybe upper 40s. In fact, we'll probably tack on a good 5 or 6 degrees to the temperatures on Wednesday, a breezy, milder day, as opposed to what we'll be subjected to for tomorrow. And by Thursday, probably up near or even above 50. And compared to what we're about to go through tonight and tomorrow, you get to 50 on Thursday, people will be dancing in the streets, I think.
By the way, I forgot to mention this to you too at the onset. Two of the three network affiliates were in town doing live shots of this. I mean, think about it. I mean, really, at most there's a coating. It's very uneven. There are spots here that probably didn't get anything, but they were up here for the 5 and 6 o'clock. Actually, they start at 4 o'clock, so they got a 3 hour newscast, and they're out there doing live shots for basically flurries and some squalls. But you know what? It's fine. I mean, I just kind of thought it was funny given what you and I worked with over and did over the years. But just to see live trucks in the center of town by the courthouse, standing around waiting for just five
Somebody to
planes to
talk
go
to.
by. Yes, and everybody here is so excited. It's really amazing. And you go on local Facebook pages, and people are just all excited about the fact that it's snowing and all the rest of it. So it's the energy here when it comes to snow is a whole lot different than it is in your neck of the woods. Joe, you still with me? All right, Joe just froze on me. Hold on. I'm gonna try to unfreeze him.
Many years ago, but I think the majority of people really don't want to see the white stuff.
Oh no, what's going on?
Joe?
I'm here. Apparently this blizzard that I have is interfering with the internet signal. Sorry about that, folks. You know, I am in the mountains. Just bear that in mind. Um, yeah, I'm sorry. Just finish your thought.
No, I've just said, I mean, we up here look upon snow quite differently as opposed to the folks down there. Down there, it's like an enchanting thing. Up here, it's like, oh no, here we go. Oh, I don't want to see that again. Well, different strokes for different folks, I guess.
Yep. Welcome tonight to everybody on the chat board, and those of you who are lurking in the background on tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. We could almost call it a special because I got a coating of snow here. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn your notifications on so you don't miss us, because we're on Sunday through Thursday at 7:35. Fridays and Saturdays are usually off nights for us, unless if there's an impending storm. We add shows, and we'll always let you know ahead of time about that. That's why it's important that you turn your notifications on. And of course, if you like the show, by all means, hit the like button. So a lot got freeze warnings everywhere from Southeast Virginia all the way back into southern Louisiana and Southeast Texas. Now, that does not mean that temperatures are not going below freezing where there's not freeze warnings. The way frost and freeze warnings work is that for the first one, you get the warnings, and then you don't get them anymore. Okay, it's really more for agriculture to alert them that the growing season is coming to an end, or if it's in the spring, when we get down to the points where it's been warm for a while, and then we start to get frost to let farmers and growers know that if they've already started to put their plants in, they need it to be protected. We have winter weather advisories in northeastern Tennessee, the western Carolina mountains. There are also a couple of counties in southwest North Carolina where we have winter storm warnings that are up. Advisories extended to West Virginia, and we've got a bunch of counties in the eastern part of the state, including Snowshoe, West Virginia, that are under winter storm warnings. Lake effect snow warnings in southwest New York and northwest PA. Advisories for everybody else along the lakefront of Erie and the lakefronts of Erie and Ontario. Also, the western shores of the lower peninsula of Michigan and down into north central northern Indiana, where we have winter weather advisories, and a couple of counties on the Michigan side with winter storm warnings. Chicago got snow. So did on the Wisconsin side in Kenosha. Some areas getting pounded with a foot plus. We've got winter storm watches up for the Sierra Nevadas and various high wind watches up in parts of the West, in a few counties, and not a lot. And here's what the surface map looks like tonight as we take a look at where the low is. It's sitting right over Cape Cod. The front is offshore, and the gradient's starting to tighten up west of the low, all the way back to the high, which is a 1033 high in eastern Oklahoma. I mean, you've got straight north winds coming down from James Bay all the way down into southern. The front's even cleared the state of Florida and the Keys, and it's gone offshore. Just looking at the 5 o'clock temperature at Key West is only 72. That's pretty cool for them.
Yeah, in fact, I mentioned on my Facebook page tomorrow morning it's going to be colder at Disney World in Orlando compared to Juneau, Alaska. Disney World tomorrow morning is projected to get down to 36. At the same time, Juneau will be at 40 degrees. So it's warmer up in Alaska, parts of Alaska, as opposed to portions of the Florida Peninsula, believe it or not.
Yeah, very blocky pattern. It's sort of an upside down world in the weather world. And here's our satellite loop tonight. Took a while. The rain took a little bit longer to get out of the way. I noticed that it was sitting on the radars for at least a part of the day. Now most of it is cleared out to the east. We still got a little bit of leftover rain in northern New England. And you see the swirl of bright white clouds in Kentucky and Tennessee, down to Georgia and the western Carolina mountains. This is the deep upper trough that has dropped down all the way south into the southern Appalachians. And that's where we're seeing a lot of this snow shower and snow squall activity, as well as along the lake shore, the shores of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. You have brighter white cloud tops over Nova Scotia and in Atlantic Canada. That's all ahead of the low center, which again, at least at 4 o'clock this afternoon, was sitting near Cape Cod. I have to remember we're on standard time now. And we've got clouds over the Dakotas, back to Montana, and in the Pacific Northwest. And here's the radar over me. Let me give it a quick refresh. But you see the patchy areas of snow. There's, I would probably say that where you see the green, it's probably snowing at a fairly steady rate. And in the lighter blue, it's probably either very light or possibly not even reaching the ground. But you do see the patchy snows there. And it's still precipitating. Up in Vermont, and New Hampshire, and Maine. I mean, still raining there, and there's even what looks like what could possibly be even a thunderstorm going on in southwestern Maine.
Do you think that's possible? Convection at the
I mean,
up there?
it looks convective. I mean, it does look convective there.
Does the GOES imagery show any kind of lightning flashes
Well,
on?
let's see. You know what? I probably am going to say no, but let's bring it up, and hopefully this thing won't freeze on me again. Okay, let's see what we got. It's loading as we speak. Actually, Joe, on the first frame in Down East Maine, there are lightning strikes there. So I mean, this is going back a
I
couple
see
of
that. I've
couple
brought
of
it up on
hours
my
ago.
own. Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
there's convection there, and you also could
It's
see the
from
effect of the northerly winds over the very warm ocean with the clouds that are all streaky off the southeast coast and across Florida and into the Gulf of Mexico. That's all cold air going over the warm water.
I can see that looking at it, on my screen, that there's convection, there's lightning flashes from central Maine going all the way up to, Presque Island, Caribou, for goodness sake. And there's also a spot or two that's being indicated down, in southwestern or southernmost Maine. So yeah, it certainly it appears that has been happening. Uh, Probably low-topped convection, and that is again in reaction to all of this cold air just pouring now down out of Canada and into initially into the nation's midsection and now spreading east across portions of New England.
By the way, just for laughs, just look and see what kind of temperatures they have up in Maine.
Okay, I'll do that.
I mean, just for laughs, because I mean, I'm sitting at 24, and I'm guessing Atlanta's probably about 31 or 2. Uh, but I'm gonna check out some temperatures here and see what's going on nearby, because it's like it's always kind of weird when the places that are supposed to be below freezing are not. It's just strange.
Well, let's
Uh,
see. We'll
let's see.
I'm checking it out right now. Augusta, Maine, right now is 47 degrees, Joe.
All right. Well, Atlanta, Georgia is 32. I'm going to check Augusta, Georgia.
Wiscasset, Wiscasset Airport in Maine, 52 degrees.
Okay. So what did you say Augusta, Maine was?
Augusta was 46.
46. So Augusta, Georgia is 36 with light snow. 9 mile
47, excuse me.
visibility and light
40,
snow.
40, 47 in Augusta, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and northwest at 15, gusting to 28, and a wind chill of 20. Excuse me, a wind chill of 27. So as I said, it's a bit of an upside down world. We've got lake effect snows going on in again in western Michigan and on the lower peninsula, and they're moving southeastward into northern Indiana. Also seeing some snow around Cleveland and in northeast Ohio. That's all coming off of Lake Erie, and probably some steady snow falling on the Canada side through all of this, going up into the St. Lawrence River Valley, or at least where the cold air is. You go up the frontal boundary, and that's where you see probably all that convection. It looks like it's
Bah,
raining pretty hard up in northern Maine.
Bar Harbor, Bar
Yes.
Harbor, double nickels, 55 in
Wow.
Bar Harbor.
Wow.
Visibility three, bid visibility 3 miles. Joe, the wind chill at Bar Harbor is 54.
Well, here's WPC's 7-day rainfall forecast. Sorry, got to say precipitation forecast, where we're looking at generally a quarter of an inch or less in most places. And what you're seeing in northern New England and up in upstate New York, that's all front end loaded with what's going on tonight. So obviously, some areas in southwestern New York where they have the lake effect snow warnings are going to see some pretty hefty accumulations. Sure, there'll probably be some areas with a foot plus. And the same goes for the east shores of the west shores of Lake Michigan, in the state of Michigan. And we also see precipitation. This is going to be rain that you see in the middle Mississippi River Valley down to the Gulf Coast on the order of 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a half. And big rains up and down California, with some areas just to the inland of Los Angeles, seeing areas of 2 and 3 inches of liquid. Also in the Sierra Nevadas, where we have the winter storm watches up, and heavy rains continuing on up through Washington and Oregon, in the western half of those two states, and into southwestern parts of Canada. So not much. I didn't really notice too much change in the overall pattern going forward today. I'm just going to bring the European up. The one thing I did notice is how blocky everything is, uh, and it ebbs and flows, but the blockiness never really goes away. You see the big upper high that's sitting just east of Greenland, between Greenland and Iceland, by the end of the week. So we're still pinned in this northwest flow, ridge in the west, troughing in the east. That keeps us from. Normally, if we were in a progressive pattern and there was no block, this trough would just pull out and you'd see the temperatures bounce up really quickly. We'd be probably back into the 50s and 60s by Wednesday or Thursday. But that's not going to happen, because of in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic anyway. It's going to take a while until the whole trough pulls out, and there's little ripples in there that are reinforcing it right through the end of the week. And even on Saturday, there's still an upper low sitting over Atlantic Canada that's rotating around. So that really kind of prevents a big warm up from happening. The block is still there. And then you got all this energy in the west that's going to try to undercut the block to some extent as we move into next week. And you still see that big blocky high over, kind of migrates over to northeastern Labrador and Hudson Bay in the longer term before it gradually starts to break down. But again, it's a pattern that we this as I mentioned several times already. This autumn, it's a lot different than the autumns of the past 4 or 5 years. It really is.
Yeah, it's last year, for example, I believe we were in the middle of unusually warm weather with temperatures in the 60s and 70s. Really different. It's totally opposite.
Well, no major storms around, so that's a plus. Other than what's going on with this low, which is not really a major storm, but it is driving all this cold air southward, and it does deepen as it gets up into eastern Canada. The gradient, as we is tight through certainly through Tuesday. Relaxes slightly on Wednesday, but it's still going to be breezy. There's a little disturbance that comes down from the northwest, a weak one, and it produces some rain and snow up around the lakes Wednesday afternoon, uh, and then in New England on Thursday. But we're still going to be on the chilly side. High pressure in the east, energy in the west. You can see a ton of rain that moves in there into California, snow in the mountains, and then another wave of moisture coming in toward the end of the week. There's a little bit of a cutoff low off of Southern California that moves into the southwest with some rain there. But it doesn't look like anything of consequence really until maybe Saturday night. There's a bit of a warm front, looks like, wants to try to get close. There's a low that's diving down from Lake Superior southeastward into New York State. So that might mean for some showers maybe Saturday night and maybe on Sunday. I'm not sure yet how to break it down in terms of timing. And there's some snow on the northern end in upstate New York, Vermont, and New Hampshire. And then that goes away, and we turn a little colder behind that, and on it goes. So at least, at least for now, it's an interesting pattern, but it's not a pattern that's going to produce anything that I don't want to use the word destructive, but let's call it extreme weather. It's not going to really produce extreme weather from the standpoint of storminess and precipitation. It certainly is producing extreme weather in many areas in the east with regards to the temperatures.
Absolutely. And you're right. We don't have any kind of major disturbance, even a minimal disturbance interacting with this cold weather probably would produce rather significant snowfall in parts of our area, but that's not going to happen. It happened back on this not on this day, but in 5 days, November 15th, 2018, there was, we touched upon this last night, that snowstorm that caught everybody unawares. It came during the afternoon drive, and parts of the tri-state area, 4 to 8 inches of snow out of that. But
Yeah.
nothing like that in the immediate future for us. Today, interestingly, and Ruben Fairchild has brought this up a couple of times on the chat board. 50 years ago on this day, we had the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, which became a big a big hit song for Gordon Lightfoot. But it was on this day in 1975 that that storm did its damage. Joe, if you want to give me sharing capability, I will show everybody the weather map for that particular day.
Okay. Hold on. Give me a second here. I will do exactly that. Um, and you have your sharing capabilities. I'm just going to walk away. Just want to see what's going on outside. So the screen is yours.
Very good. So I'm sharing the screen right now. This is courtesy of the NOAA library, which provides all sorts of interesting information, weather maps of the past. Here is the weather map as of Monday, November 10th. It was a Monday, just like today. Monday, November 10th, 1975. And you can see that over Lake Superior, or as it was referred to in the song by Gordon Lightfoot, the Lake Gitche Gumee. Anyway, that system, that storm, let's see, I'm trying to see if I can get a better view of it here. 984, 984 millibar low, and you could see the pressure gradient was rather tightly compressed or packed around that storm system. I believe the storm headed north-northeast. And indeed, that is the case. You could see on November 16th, the storm continued up, moved actually across Hudson Bay, James Bay, I should say, and into the lower part of Hudson Bay, by 24 hours after it was over Lake Superior. But this particular storm system, if you were unfortunate enough to be on the west side of the storm, that's where the winds obviously were strongest because that's where the pressure gradient was tightest with this system. And that is the storm that eventually led to the destruction of the Edmund Fitzgerald on this day 50 years ago. And I'm presuming, I can see that there was quite a bit of precipitation associated with it. I don't see, I can't see the temperatures though. I think that they're probably in the upper 30s and lower 40s back over here when this map was drawn. So I don't think it was cold enough for snow, but you can see that it was a rather intense weather system that was moving across Lake Superior on this day. And I guess you didn't want to be on a ship on Lake Superior when this storm system came rolling on through back in 1975.
Yeah, in some ways it feels like in other ways. There are a number of very excellent documentaries, including one that I saw on PBS with regards to the Edmund Fitzgerald. And if you haven't seen them, put them on your watch list because it's it's a very interesting story uh, that goes along with it with respect to those who lost their lives and their families, and it was fascinating and it was sad and it was touching. I don't remember the title of it, but I'm sure if you Google it, you can figure it out. Okay, we're going to go to Briller Jeopardy. And before we do that, I just want to might as well look outside my front door again, and everything is still snow covered, Joe. And you can see there's a bit of a wind because my what's left of my dead hydrangeas are just like swaying back and forth. Not seeing any flakes coming down at the moment. But that's in Blairsville, Georgia, in the mountains, not too far from Brasstown Bald, which is Georgia's highest peak. I'm 10 minutes away from that. I'm 2,200 feet up. Brasstown is close to 5,000 feet up. So when it snows there a lot more, much more than it does down at my level, and I snow a lot more than folks that are lower than me. So there you go. Okay, let's bring up we'll get Ruler Jeopardy going. See how good everybody's memories are, Mr. Rayo, because my memories are fried. Uh, there were 7 snowstorms in New York City, as measured in New York City Central Park. If we used other points, we probably would come up with a lot more. But there are 7 storms, since the year 2000 that have, well, is it? No, I'm sorry, in total, not just even before 2000. But there are 7 storms that have produced at least 20 inches. So let's start naming them. Okay. So,
Oh,
Joe, can you name the first? Name one.
well, there's that one in January of 2016, January 22nd and 23rd. In fact, I believe that was the record holder, the new record holder, 27.5 inches. Is that correct?
Right. That was another situation where they waited to find an extra tenth of an inch to make it the record. 27.5 inches.
And if I
Um,
recall, you were working at FiOS One at the time.
yes, I was. Um, and you were not, right?
No, I was not there
Not there
yet.
yet. Okay. I see some folks on the chat board. So that one is number one. Um, uh, uh, Gerasimos Sassinos, 1979, not for New York City Central Park, okay, but for neighboring areas like Newark, yes. I know it's the President's Day storm is what he's
That was a
referring
weird
to.
storm. That had a sharp cutoff. Like I think
Yes.
Central Park had like 15 or 16 inches, and if I were living up here at the time, which I was not, but if I were living up here in Putnam Valley, we might have gotten 2 inches out of that storm.
If that.
Again, very rapid drop in snow accumulation as you headed north of the New York City area with that storm.
Carol DeCarrot, she goes 29 in 2009 and 2010. And in 2010, February 25th, 26th, 20.9 inches. And
That was the Boxing Day blizzard, right?
no, this was February 25th, 26th, 2010.
Oh, because it was
20.9. The
because the day
Boxing
after.
Day, the 2010 Boxing Day storm, 26 December 26, 27 was 20 inches even, and that was number 7 on the list. I'm seeing a few folks. Let's see. Um,
And of
just
course,
trying
we
to.
had the one that was for the longest time the record holder for most snow. That was the 1947 storm, which
That's correct. December 26th, 27th, 1947,
and that was
26.4.
26.4. Yep, yeah.
Correct. Bobby Livingsworth, you mentioned the blizzard of '88. I don't know that New York City got over 20 inches from that. I mean, they might have it if it was split, because that storm really was like lasted 3 days. So I don't know if you add all 3 days up, maybe that did. I'm sure some areas around the city did. But that came so fast and so hard, they probably had a tough time measuring it. 2021 is not on the list. There's nothing here from 2021. Nor the blizzard of '78, which everybody has always argued that 12-inch amount for Central Park was totally wrong. They were doing it off the car tops in those days. Um, the blizzard of '96 is on there. I'm sorry, I take it back. '88 is on there. March 12th through 14th, 1888. It is on there, 21 inches. I take that back. Um, it's a little hard to do this because people are throwing out years without dates. So someone mentions, Frank R mentions 2006. I think that probably covers them all now. 26.9, February 11th, 12th, 2006. So just to recap, number one is, well, I'll go from the bottom. Number 6 is January 7th and 8th, 1996, 20.2. Number 5 is February 25th, 26th, 2010, 20.9. Number 4 is the blizzard of '88, 1888, March 12th through 14th, 21 inches. Number 3 is Number 3 is December 26th, 27th, 1947, 26.4. Number 2 is February 11th, 12th, 2006, 26.9. And January 22nd, 20 through the 24th of 2016, 2016, 27.5 inches. Although the bulk of that really goes back on the 22nd. It was really more on the 23rd, 24th. And I left out number 7 at 20 inches, which was December 26, 27, 2010. The one
The
where Mayor Bloomberg was in Bermuda during that one.
Yeah, they would call it the Bloomberg blizzard. 27.5 inches at Central Park. I can tell you that this is the 2016 storm. Here in Putnam Valley, we had 11 inches of snow. And if you went about maybe 10 miles north of where I live, there were people who were saying, "What big snow? There's hardly enough snow to cover the grass." That was another one where we had a sharp
Yeah, I
cutoff.
think once you went, up toward Poughkeepsie, I think Poughkeepsie got like an inch or something.
Yeah, something
You
like
know,
that.
it was a very, very tight gradient. Over a handful of miles, you went from nothing to half a foot. But that's in your big storms. That's always the case. There's always that sharp cutoff, and there's always the case where if you're, literally a handful of miles, you go from nothing to half a foot, and then another handful of miles, you go from a half a foot to a foot. That's pretty much how it works. All right, I think we covered it all tonight. I want to go watch the snowfall, so we're gonna go. Okay.
I'm going to wish you a happy white uh, Veterans Day Eve, and for everybody out there, I hope that if you have a flag, that you certainly display it tomorrow in honor of all the men and women who put their lives on the line, who are out there as I speak to you now, uh, trying to maintain peace and support democracy and whatever else you want to say. It is a very important day to recognize all of the people out there who have fought for this great country of ours.
And here they have crosses in town that they put around the courthouse of all the people that have done that from here that have served in wars and have died. And you run into they've got crosses of people here from World War One. It's very, very touching to see. So yes, I agree with Joe wholeheartedly. I have a flag that flies every day outside my door, outside my deck. So all right, folks, we will see everybody tomorrow, and have a good night and stay warm. Bye bye.
Bye bye.